In a statement tonight, surviving relatives say Nehemiah Griego is not the monster the media are making him out to be.
They describe him as a bright, curious, incredibly talented young man who, as we just said, made a terrible decision. Here's News 13's Alex Tomlin.
Dick, Jessica, the Griego family released a statement a couple of hours ago saying they, of course, are heartbroken, but that Nehemiah, they know, is not dangerous.
This is what we've seen of Nehemiah, but his family says he is much more than that. A wrestler, musician, and bright 15-year-old. The family statement says, quote, something went terribly wrong, whether it was a mental breakdown or some deeper, undiagnosed psychological issue. Detectives say Griego shot and killed his parents and 3 younger siblings in the early morning hours Saturday morning. The only person who seems to have known that his family was dead before investigators did, Nehemiah's 12-year-old girlfriend. Detectives are now looking into what she knew about the plot. Could she have alerted cops before this happened? And why she didn't alert them after Griego sent her a grisly photo of his mother shot in the head.
We also know at this time that Nehemiah had been contemplating this for some time.
Deputies say Griego killed his mother and 9-year-old brother who lay next to her, then went after his 2 young sisters. Investigators believe the 5-year-old was awake and crying when Griego shot her in the head, but the 2-year-old was asleep, they believe. He then waited for his father to come home. The detectives say he gunned him down around 6 a.m.
We do have information that the suspect also contemplated killing of his juvenile's parents, his girlfriend's parents.
The sheriff confirmed today that after the mass murder of his family, the boy thought about going on a shooting rampage at a South Valley Walmart before driving a van with loaded rifles to Calvary Church, where his family was highly involved. At the church, his story unraveled, and when he finally confessed to detectives, he said he was suicidal and homicidal.
The motive, as articulated by the suspect, was purely that he was frustrated with his mother.
The Griego family says the teen was loved and supported, and that he was an active member in his church. They say this photo of him in his father's old fatigues shows his dream of serving our country, going to NIMI, and studying engineering or history.
If convicted, Griego faces life in prison if sentenced as an adult. If a judge sentences him as a juvenile, he'd get out when he turns 21. The DA tells me she will be surprised if this case ever makes it to trial, hinting at a plea deal. As far as an insanity defense, normally there needs to be a documented history of mental illness. Officials say there was none in this case. Back to you.
Okay, Alex, Sheriff Houston also said today that Nehemiah was a big fan of 2 violent video games and that the boy lit up when he talked about them.
Was quite excited as he got the opportunity to discuss that with our investigators.
Nehemiah's favorites, according to the sheriff, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, a military game where players take on the role of a soldier carrying out violent missions, and Grand Theft Auto, where thugs go on violent rampages. Both games have been criticized for their graphic content, with critics claiming they desensitize players to violence. President Obama has asked Congress for money to finance a study aimed at nailing down whether there is a link between those kinds of games and real violence.
As Alex mentioned, Nehemiah gunned down his father at around 6 Saturday morning after Greg returned home from an overnight shift at the Albuquerque rescue mission. His co-workers told us they've been constantly thinking about his final hours.
You think about stuff like that. If you had had the schedule different or something, maybe it wouldn't have happened. But you know, it's just sad that it happened.
The assistant director says Greg Griego worked at the shelter from 2002 to 2004 and was rehired there just 3 months ago. He was helping with security at the city's winter shelter and hosted Bible studies. A prayer vigil for the Griego family is scheduled for tomorrow at Calvary of Albuquerque, the church where Greg worked as a pastor and where Nehemiah revealed his family was dead. It's from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m.
Stay with News 13 on air and online at KRQE.com for full coverage as this story of the Griego